Hey, it's Inquisitor023 here again. I'm back with something a little bit different today. Instead of actually playing Saints Row 2, I've actually bringing you something different. This is Mountain Blade Warband. Don't worry, I'm not dropping Saints Row 2. I'm going to keep continuing it, but I wanted to do this as well. This is a game I picked up after seeing Total Biscuit's WTF is of its sequel, and I got it for about £4 on the Steam sale. Sadly, that sale's now over. But this is a really good game. I've spent the last week or so playing through it. I've got a bit more experience with the game now. I know what I'm doing, and I decided what I'd like to do is actually make a let's play of it. This game doesn't technically end if you die, as it were. You are actually captured and you escape later, a couple of days later. So basically you can keep going, and this will be one of those ones I'll update when I feel like it, or I could just stop and pick it up. But the other ones I will play through to story completion. This I can keep going for as long as I basically please. So without further ado, as always, I'm going to start a new game, and we get to begin. Now this is an action RPG. The map plays through top down. You get to run around this kingdom. Okay. Welcome, adventurer, to Mountain Blade Warband. Before beginning the game, you must create your character. Remember that in the traditional medieval society depicted in the game, war and politics are usually dominated by male members of the nobility. This, however, does not mean that you should not choose to play a female character or one who's not of noble birth. Male nobles may have somewhat easier start, but women and commoners can attain all of the same goals, and in fact may have a much more interesting, if more challenging, early game. Because of this, I've played through a couple times. Men do have it easier. One example is if you decide to become a vassal to a king, you get a fief, which is some land. A woman does not. You can still become a vassal, but you do not get land. And what you pick within the next little bit changes what you start with, your skills, and how much money you have. So let's keep going. I'm going to play male, because if I play female, it's a lot more awkward. You were born years ago in a land far away. Your father was an impoverished noble, a travelling merchant, a veteran warrior, a hunter, a stepped nomad, or a thief. I'm going to go for a stepped nomad. That sounds a bit more interesting to me. You were the child of the stepped born to a tribe of wandering nomads who lived in great camps throughout the arid grasslands. Like the other tribesmen, your family revered horses above almost everything else, and they taught you how to ride almost before you learned how to walk. Excuse me. You started to learn about the world almost as soon as you could walk and talk. You spent your early life as a page in a nobleman's court, a craftsman apprentice, a shop assistant, a street urchin, or a step-out child. I'm going to go with the step-out child. Continues with the actual history. As a boy growing out of childhood, you rode the great steppes on a horse of your own, learning the ways of the grass in the desert. Although you sometimes went hungry, you became a skillful hunter and pathfinder in this trackless country. Your body too started to harden with muscle as you grew into the life of a nomad man. Then as a young adult, life changed as it always does. You became a squire, a troubadour, I believe that's like a bard, a university student, a goods peddler, a smith, or a game poacher. I'm going to go for a games poacher. I like the idea of my guy riding around and doing things like that. Though the distinction felt sudden to you, somewhere along the way you become a man, and the whole world seemed to change around you. Dissatisfied with the common man's desperate scrabble for a coin, you took your local lord's own forests and decided to help yourself to its bounty. Laws be damned. You hunted stags, boars, and geese and sold the precious meat under the table. You cut down trees right under the watchmen's noses and turned them into firewood that warmed many freezing homes during winter. All for a few silvers, of course. But soon everything changed, and you decided to strike out on your own as a venture. What made you take this decision was personal revenge, the loss of a loved one, wanderlust, being forced out of your own home, lust for money and power. I'm going to go for wanderlust. My guy seems a bit of a traveller, a nomad, and he likes to go around. Only you know exactly what caused you to give up your old life and become an adventurer. You're not even too sure when your home became a prison, when the familiar became mundane, but your dreams of wandering have taken over your life. Whether you yearn for some faraway place or merely for the open road and the freedom to travel, you could no longer bear to stay in the same place. You simply went and never looked back. So we're basically a nomadic tribe member who became quite good at riding through the country, got quite tough because of it. He became a poacher, and then he left his home because he just didn't like being where he was. I actually quite like the sound of that. He sounds like a good guy. Now I become an adventurer and ride to my destiny. Okay, saving policy. Realistic, please. Now you must enter your name and distribute your attribute, skill, and weapon points. You can click on various elements on the screen to learn about how each one will affect your character. Very simple. This is nice and easy. So for a character name, let me think. I'm going to go for one out of an RPG I run with some friends, and I'm going to use one of their male names. I'm actually going to go for Ardan. He's a recent character of mine, quite good guy. So I have 4 points to spend for attributes. I have 9 strength, 10 agility, 5 intelligence, and 6 charisma. Skills are different in this, and I'll explain why in a minute. In terms of abilities, strength is is obviously your sort of melee-ish stuff, and when you get one, you get some extra hit points. Agility gives you more weapons points and slightly faster movement. That's more for your weaponry and your horse riding and such. Intelligence, that gives you an extra skill point, and that's for your, obviously, things that require a bit of brain power. I didn't know, but it's okay. And your charisma, that will increase the size of your party limit. You can build an army in this, and it's pretty much, well, it's useful, but we'll get to that later. And this, goes for things that require more talking. My character is definitely seeming a bit like a warrior, hunter, so I'm going to go and put a point into strength. As you can see, my health went up there, not by a huge amount, but it's useful. Other than that, I'm not sure where my last three is going to go. Excuse me. I'm going to put another point into strength, agility, and I'll throw one in the intelligence because it's my lowest stat and I should get that raised a bit. Now, onto the skills. Skills work strange in this. You can only raise certain skills. Each skill is related to an attribute, and you can only raise that skill to amount equal to a third of an attribute. So, looking at strength, as you may be able to see, the relevant skills is Iron Flesh, Power Strike, Power Throw, and Power Draw. I'm only allowed to raise them at the minute to 3 because that is a third of whatever it is. Now I have 6 skill points to spend. Again, he's a bit of a fighter. I think I'm going to go for something along the lines of throwing weapons along with close combat. So I want a point in Iron Flesh, which raises my health. Something into Power Strike, which increases my melee. Power Throw's already got up there, but I'll raise it up to 2 because it lets me get good. I can already shoot. I don't like Weapon Master. I've never really got... Oh, that's what it is. Increases proficiency limits and that. Okay. Athletics. I want to be able to run. And let's get a point into horse archery so I can do things like that a bit better. And I'll throw a point into inventory management. That's really useful because you can make a lot of money through looting. Archery is already as high as I can go for the minute. Let's put some points into throwing. And some into one-handed weapons. I still have some points to spend. You may notice that it doesn't go 1.1, spent, as you can see, but, I don't know. I can't really understand. Oh, hang on, it is going for 1.1 spent. Yeah, whatever. Okay, and I'll throw a point in the pole arms, because I can. So, Ardan, the nomad, is ready to take to the field. Now, this is the bit, I'm not one to go into changing faces, but so we'll stick with what we've basically got. He needs an immaculate beard. I want that, and let's make him. Okay, let's make him nice and young because we want, we don't want him dying on us. That's actually, I don't think you can, but you can go for quite a long time, and let's make him look like that. All right, I'm happy with that. You heard about Calradia, a land torn between rival kingdoms battling each other for supremacy, a haven of knights and mercenaries, cutthroats and adventurers, all willing to risk their lives in pursuit of fortune, power, or glory. In this land which holds many great dangers and even greater opportunities, you believe you may leave your past behind and start a new life. You feel then finally you hold the key of your destiny in your hands, free to choose as you will, and that whatever course you take, great adventures will await you. Drawn by the stories you hear about Calradia and its kingdoms, you join a caravan to Braven in Swadia, who's your traditional European. Join a caravan to Revadian in the kingdom of Viegers. I'm actually not sure what that is. Join a caravan to Tulga in the Kyrgyz Khanate. I can't pronounce that first word, but they're your traditional Mongols. Sargoth in the kingdom of Nords, who's your Vikings. Jakela in the kingdom of Rodox, again I'm not quite sure. And Sharez in the Sarid Sultanate, which is your traditional sort of Arabs. I'm going for Nords because they're friggin' Vikings. You took passage with a trading longship carrying Grafalgans, and from the furthest reaches of the north to be borrowed for linen and wool. It sailed early in the season, but the master reckoned that the risks of drifting ice and later winter storms could be justified by arriving ahead of the sea raiders, who by April would be sailing forth from their island lures that ravaged Calradia's coast. It was some relief when your ship came in sight of the delta of the Vale and Borlak rivers, and a short while later rode past tidal flats and coastal marches to the city of Sargoth, home to the sea raiders' distant kinsmen, the Nordic lords, who a few generations ago had carved themselves a kingdom in this rich but troubled land. You're exhausted by the time you find the inn in Sargoth, and you fall asleep quickly. However, you wake before dawn and are eager to explore your surroundings. You venture out onto the streets, which are still deserted. All of a sudden you hear the sound which stands Sorry, you hear a sound that stands the hairs of your neck on end, the rasp of a blade sliding from its scabbard. And that is character creation, folks. Pretty simple, but I quite like it. Okay, let's see what we start with. We start with obviously a bow and some arrows and an axe. I'm not sure if that's two-handed or one-handed. It looks two-handed. And we get this guy. So, I should probably comment on the combat system here. Melee is pretty unique in its own way. It actually works through, well, what you can do is I can swing in any direction by using the mouse. And you can block it in much the same way. I'm actually going to pause it here once this guy talks to me because I'm not sure how long I have left to do. Merchant, are you alright? Well, I'm not even going to read this out. I'll leave that up for a minute. But basically, all he's saying is that, you know, I've got rid of a thief, which is nice, and he wants to talk to me inside. The merchant takes you into his house. Once inside, he stands by the door for a while, checking the street, and then finally, convinced you had not been followed, comes near you to speak. Once he finishes talking to me here, oh, never mind. Okay, I'm going to actually save it. I'm going to leave it here now for now. Thank you for watching. Obviously, I'll start a playlist for this, and I will be getting more of this in the future, quite soon, hopefully. Saints Row 2 will be back later today. I'm going to start recording it and say, well, I don't know when, but soon. And I don't do an intro, so I won't do an outro. Inquisitor 023, take it easy, and goodbye.